It is standard breastfeeding advice that you should offer your baby both breasts alternately during a breastfeeding session, but not all babies are on board with this plan. So they tend to prefer one breast over the other and actually reject the other to a point of even biting it. So if your baby is preferring one breast over the other, you should know that you're not alone, because a number of moms around the world experience this. And so in today's episode, we'll be discussing why a baby would prefer one breast over the other and what you can do to help the situation. Hi moms, my name is Betty Bakita and this is Wholesome Parenting. This is where we believe that there is no such thing as perfect parenting, only real parenting. And in real parenting, you've got to experience every day as it comes, ask those questions, go through the challenges, and every day until you bring up an wholesome child. So in today's episode, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be discussing why a baby would prefer one breast over the other and what you can do to help the situation. So how common is it around the world? There are no really facts to tell us how common it is, but a study done in Saudi Arabia showed that almost 23% of all babies actually choose to breastfeed on one breast and reject the other one. But these are not really standard facts, but what I know is that it's there because I have experienced it. My son completely refused to feed on one breast and he feeds only on one. He refused this one, he feeds only on this one. So as we discuss this topic, this is an experience I have lived through, so I'll share part of my experience and what I did. So why does a baby prefer one breast over the other? The preference may happen at any stage, or whether they are a newborn or a toddler. And if you notice that your newborn is refusing one breast over the other, it shouldn't really concern you much, because probably it's they're having issues with latching on one breast. Maybe the nipple on one breast is like engorged and they are not really able to latch properly. So they tend to not want to feed on that breast because they cannot latch properly on it. But what you should do at this point, you should insist on giving your baby that breast and keep doing it until they are able to latch properly. You can help them learn how to latch properly until they are able to breastfeed comfortably. Okay, so if an older baby is rejecting a breast, what could be the reason? Well, my son started rejecting it at around 11 months, and I didn't know what was the issue at first. He just refused it. If I gave it to him, he would bite it. So at that point, there could be different reasons that are making them refuse that one breast and choose the other breast. First is maybe they're having a stiff neck, where they're comfortable sleeping on one side and very uncomfortable, or they're comfortable lying on one side and very uncomfortable lying on the other side. So I think for my son, this side was more comfortable and this other one was really uncomfortable. So he didn't want to feed on this side. Also, maybe there could be a difference in how much milk your breasts are producing. If one breast is producing more milk than the other breast, your child will prefer to feed on one that is producing more milk because they're able to feed easier and get full faster. Really. But the one that is producing low milk, it could be because the ducts are blocked or for different reasons. And another reason could be they have an ear infection. So when you hold them on one side, the ear like feels really painful, and on the other side they are comfortable feeding on it. And another reason they would prefer one breast over the other could be because of your own choice as the mother. Maybe you are really comfortable feeding on one side, so all the time you give your child the breast on your most comfortable side and give your uncomfortable side last. So they actually get used to one breast and they tend to prefer that breast all the time. So now, what do you do if you notice that your baby is preferring one breast over the other? Okay, first of all, you have to determine why they're preferring that one breast. It could be for medical reasons, or it could be just for, they just love one breast. They just prefer it. So the best thing to do is to consult a lactation or to consult your doctor. because your doctor will listen to how your baby is behaving when you give them this breast, and they're able to determine why they could be preferring the other breast. So if there are medical reasons, I have seen places where people say that it could be cancer or any other reason that could be causing them to reject one breast. So your doctor will help you rule out any medical reasons. And so if there are just any other reasons, you can proceed to handle them properly. But if there are medical reasons, of course, you'll get treated, and if possible, your baby can continue to breastfeed. So once you have found out why your baby is preferring one breast over the other, and it is not a medical reason, it's maybe they're having a stiff neck or they just prefer that side, then you can take steps to help them maybe feed on that breast too. So one way to do that, it is to use different breastfeeding positions. There are different breastfeeding positions. You can hold them this way, you can hold them, have a football hold. So once you notice they're actually preferring one breast over the other, you can change your breastfeeding positions and hold them differently and see whether they feed. For example, if they are refusing to feed one breast because they are comfortable on one side, then you can choose to trick them into believing they are feeding on that same side. For example, if you do a football hold where you hold your baby like this onto the breast, they are able to feed on this breast thinking they're actually feeding on the other one. Okay, that is one one trick that you can try. Another one is to offer that breast first when the baby is hungriest. They have stayed for quite a number of hours without feeding, so they are really hungry, and at that point you can offer them the breast that they don't actually like. You can offer that breast first, and then they will feed on it. By the time they are actually getting comfortable enough or full, they will have already fed on that one breast. The reason to try to feed on this breast is it keeps on producing milk, and it can actually hurt if it doesn't express the milk, or in the process of ceasing the breast feeding. So try as much as possible to offer that breast first, especially when they're hungry. Also, you can offer that breast when they are sleepy. For example, when they are waking up to feed sometime in the night, you can offer that breast first, because at that sleepy position they may not really differentiate which one is which, so they'll be able to feed on that breast. So what will you do if all your attempts to feed on those two breasts, on both breasts, don't work? Okay, even after persistent effort to feed on both breasts and you realize that actually it's not working, they only prefer one breast, it's okay to let them feed on one breast. We have had mothers who have successfully fed their children on one breast, and their children turned out okay, as in there is nothing wrong with it, nothing will happen to you. They'll just wean off one breast and continue feeding on the other. The key word should be they are getting enough milk. So as long as they're getting enough milk from one breast, it is okay to feed them on one breast. Like me, I feed my son on only this breast, and he's really comfortable with it, and he gets enough milk, and we are almost weaning it off too. So it's almost been a year on one breast, and it's okay. I am feeling fine, he's okay and getting enough milk, so it's really okay to let them have what they prefer. Okay, another way to handle the situation, it is to keep pumping or expressing milk on the breast that they have rejected. So if you keep expressing the milk, your breast will keep producing more milk, so such that at one point where the baby is grown enough and they know what breast milk is and they actually love it, they are able to feed from both breasts without much of a hassle from your side. So one thing you should know is that breastfeeding should be enjoyable for both you and your baby. So if you actually notice that your baby is preferring one breast over the other, or you are uncomfortable feeding on one side, or your baby is comfortable feeding from one breast, make an informed decision as mentioned earlier, visit a doctor and rule out any medical reasons as to why your baby is choosing one breast over the other one. And then if you can help your baby feed on both breasts, then go for it. If they cannot, then just breastfeed on one, and everything will be okay. So thank you very much for watching this video. Please, if you're new to this channel, subscribe, and I'd like to thank you all for your support so far. Subscribe to this channel, and so that you can always get a notification anytime we upload a new video. You can also leave us with your comments, your suggestions on topics that you'd like us to discuss, or questions that you have in your parenting journey, and we'll get back to you with that. Also, I have written a blog on this video, so I am going to leave the link in the description below so that you can read more comprehensively. Okay, thank you very much.